We have with us Dr. Tariq Fateh, a familiar face. Those of you who watch the programs on the TV, we have Mrs. Verma. And good evening, sir. Thank you very much for acceding to our request. Please, sir. Please, sir. We have all gathered over here to celebrate Human Rights Day. As it's written in the placard over here, stand up for someone's rights. Today is the day where we want people who have a passion for standing up for the rights of others. And such people have gathered over here today. And we have a galaxy of speakers. Today is the day when we are not talking of one particular section of society or one particular section of society within the country. We are talking of all sections of society within the country. We are talking about human rights. And when we talk of human, we talk about all the people in the world. Our chief guest would be arriving soon. The chief guest for the day is Honorable Justice S.N. Dhingra. He'll be coming soon. But we'll start our session, if I have the permission, and I must tell you one thing, that you know that this particular program is being organized by an NGO called Call for Justice, as you can see over here, jointly organized Call for Justice and the Faculty of Law at SGT University. This Call for Justice is, you'll be surprised to know, it is a group of 7 people with passion, as I said, as I told you earlier. We have with us, and may I request the members of the Call for Justice to kindly stand when I speak out their names. We have Dr. T.D. Dogra, the Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor, SGT University. Then we have Mr. R.M. Harjai, General Secretary of this organization. We have Major General Vijay Dhal, General Vijay Dhal. He's a person who's been working for the rights of the defense personnel, and that is also the subject upon which he'll be, initiating a discussion today. Then we have Mr. Chandra Vadhva, if he's around. Yes, he's also one of the members of this organization. And I don't know whether Mr. V.P. Gupta has arrived. No, he hasn't yet. There's one more member from Call for Justice, Mr. Siddharth Dave. Welcome, sir. So we welcome all the members of Call for Justice. We welcome our guests. We welcome our students. We welcome all the other dignitaries who are present over here, who will be, and without whose presence the whole symposium today wouldn't be worth it. Let me begin the day by honoring our guests who are over here. And to begin with, I request Dr. T.D. Dogra to present a memento and a sapling to our worthy guest, Dr. Tariq Fateh. I don't know how many, everybody I think knows him. He's a well-known broadcaster, secularist, and activist. Yes. In his own words, he says, "I am an Indian born in Pakistan, a Punjabi born in Islam, an immigrant in Canada with a Muslim consciousness. All I know that he's a wonderful human being. When you hear him speak, you feel that he belongs to all religions and to all countries." We would also like to honor our another guest of honor who's here with us today, Dr. Mrs. Verma. And I request I request Madam Harjai to kindly present Madam Verma a sapling on behalf of SGT and the NGO Call for Justice and a memento on behalf of the SGT University. We welcome you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am, for taking out time to be with us this evening. Dr. Baba is going to be one of the speakers, but he's with us. He's part of the SGT family. And a sapling and a memento for Major Dhal. We have Mr. N.K. Singh, our advisor from SGD, and I request Professor Khanna, there he is, to kindly present a memento on behalf of SGT University to Mr. N.K. Singh. He's also going to be participating in this symposium, and we'll all be looking forward to his views today. I now request Dr. Dogra to kindly present a memento to Professor N.S. Bawa, who on behalf of SGT University, once again, Faculty of Law, would be also participating in this symposium. Seated. And I request our Pro-Chancellor of SGT University to kindly present a memento to our worthy guest. It is my privilege to tell our students that Justice S.N. Dhingra, he's a judge who retired from Delhi Court, and he has been, in fact, involved in some of the major, decisions. And as he'll come to speak, I'll tell you more about him. But we are very thankful to you, sir, for having graced this symposium today. So as I was telling you, that we begin this symposium by inviting Mr. N.K. Singh, a journalist, a professional in his own right, and who was with the National Herald for some time, who has been with NDTV, and as I said, who's the General Secretary of the TV channel broadcasters, and who is a person, a freelancer, and who's a person who speaks very candidly on different things. And what can be more candid than the subject of human rights? So I invite him to kindly set the ball rolling for today's symposium. Mr. N.K. Singh.
Honorable Chair, Justice Dhingra, Tariq Fateh Sahab, Madam Verma, distinguished and erudite audience, my young would-be liars. Alistair Farrugia had once said, freedom is when people speak. Democracy is when governments listen. That is the paradox. You may have freedom of speech, but it is not necessary that you may be fully responded to by the respective governments across the world. That is where this problem lies. Human rights. What is right? Right is not that somebody gives you. Right is not that right is something which nobody can take away from you. So, see the fundamental right. There is a difference between America and England, the one that we followed, but we partially took it from American Constitution also, American perception of democracy as well. In England, freedom is handed down by the sovereign to the subjects. from Magna Carta till this date. Therefore, it was from upside down. Sovereign handed down certain powers with the process of time. With the result, even today, subjects do not enjoy same nature of freedom vis-a-vis the state, which American and Indian society enjoys. But there is a paradox. In year 2000, 1% of elite of this country, those who are rolling in opulence, 1% of the society of this country had wealth of 37%. Total 37% wealth was concentrated in the hands of 1%. In 2005, that is 5 years later, it went up to 42%. 2010, it further went up to 48%. In 2012, 1% enjoyed the wealth of 52% wealth of this country. And the latest report has suggested that now it has been 58%. 58% wealth of this country is concentrated in the hands of 1%. And still we talk about rights, human violation. We'll have to consider, there are some violations which are obtrusive, which are apparent. Predatory instinct of a state suddenly pounce on individuals. But they are conspicuous kind of exercise, so we can make out कि नहीं state ने गलत किया है, दरोगा जी ने गोली चलाई. But many violations are completely unobtrusive, inconspicuous, which we can fathom only when we delve deep into that. The paradox, economic paradox, which is stultifying the progress of individuals, is it not violation? So my fervent appeal to you when we discuss it, and that too when Tariq Saab is here, when Justice Dhingra is around, I think we will have to delve deep into not only the state's obtrusive violation of human rights or the violation by the other actors, non-state actors, against the state operatives. But we will also have to look into these variables. A violation is not only one which we see, गोली चला दिया, वो violation हो गया. बहुत तकलीफ होती है, लेकिन क्या इसके अलावा भी कोई violation होते हैं? DPR Korea, the name is so soothing. North Korea, the dictator regime, its name is Democratic People's Republic. How novel these words are. Democratic, Republic, People's. But last month, when its president was addressing a meeting, one of its advisors suddenly dozed off. He was shot dead. I'll tell you another situation. In Singapore recently, Fali Nariman had written an article in which he had quoted this incident. A very renowned judge who retired, and subsequently in that conference, he was invited to deliver keynote address. So he started by saying, we have that great freedom in our country. We have that great freedom in our country that is known as freedom of speech. So there was massive clapping all around. It was an international seminar. So when he said, we have this great freedom of speech in our country, but we don't have freedom after speech. That is where the problem lies. Do we really have the freedom after speech? What will happen? What does the state do after that? It stultifies your entire functions, but indirectly, it is also a human rights violation. Recently, we have started talking about, भाई जो सेना के लोग मर रहे हैं, जो सीआरपीएफ के लोग मर रहे हैं, पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस के लोग मर रहे हैं, दे टू हैव ह्यूमन राइट्स, देयर फैमिली मेंबर्स डू हैव ह्यूमन राइट्स, बिल्कुल सही है। लेकिन हमारे लॉजिक की कुछ फैलेसीज हैं जो हमें समझ लेना होगा आज के डिस्कशन में। व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट ए वायलेशन बाय टेररिस्ट or by other non-state actors, violation of the rights of the army jawan, there is a difference, qualitative difference at that. This qualitative difference is, एक जवान तैयार होके आता है, सॉवरेन का पावर लेके आता है, अगर वो वायलेट करता है, he spreads his predatory instincts, और एक 12 साल के बच्चे को जो कि अमरूद बेच रहा होता है नक्सलाइट कह के मार देता है, तब हमारे पूरे बॉडी ऑफ लॉ पे, हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे, हमारे सोशल स्ट्रक्चर पे हमें शक होने लगता है कि ये तो हमारे प्रोटेक्टर थे। व्हाट हैपेंड? दे वर कट आउट फॉर प्रोटेक्टिंग अस, दैट इज रीजन दैट फॉर देम। ये कौन है जो कि हम ही को मार देते हैं, हमारे 12 साल के बच्चे को मार देते हैं? इसीलिए स्टेट परसिक्यूशन का लेवल जो है ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशन के कैटेगरी में, वी कीप इट एट द टॉप, बिकॉज यू आर डिराइविंग स्ट्रेट फ्रॉम द सॉवरेन, फ्रॉम द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, वी द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया, दिस द फर्स्ट वर्ड रिटन, फर्स्ट सेंटेंस दैट इज रिटन देयर। हम उसकी वजह से आपको ये बंदूक देते हैं, ये बंदूक आप तभी उसको रिलीज करेंगे, बुलेट को, जब आप कहीं हमें प्रोटेक्ट करने की बात आएगी। लेकिन उस समय आप ये जब रिलीज करते हैं, वो वायलेशन अलग है। और अगर टेररिस्ट ने किसी आतंकवाद, किसी ने आर्मी के जवान को मारा है, दल साहब शायद मुझसे एग्री नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि आर्मी से हैं, लेकिन दोनों में क्वालिटेटिव डिफरेंस है। वो दोनों तैयार हैं, मेंटली तैयार है कि हमें इसको मारना है, इसे हमें मारना है। लेकिन वो कॉमन आदमी जो 12 साल का बच्चा अमरूद बेच रहा है, वो तैयार नहीं था, उसकी मां नहीं तैयार थी। Therefore, predatory instincts of the state, if they let loose the reign of terror, then it is qualitatively different. तो मैं कतई, I mean, without demeaning the contribution of the jawans, दोनों को जब लॉजिकल पैरामीटर पे रखेंगे तो देयर इज ए डिफरेंस। एक चीज और हो रही है हमारे पूरे देश में आज, या तो हम उस साइड में हैं या उस साइड में हैं, या तो लोगों को पाकिस्तान भेज रहे हैं या भारत माता जय कर रहे हैं। ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशन को जब फाइनल उसके हिसाब से देखेंगे, देन यू विल रियलाइज कि डिस्कोर्स के लेवल पे ठीक है, लेकिन अगर स्टेट परसिक्यूशन के लेवल पे कहीं गलती से आ जाता है, विच इज नॉट देयर एज ऑफ नाउ, but if it does come, then it is to the detriment of entire trust we repose in the body of law in society. Logical fallacies हम बहुत कॉमन है हमारी। पहला ये है आर्गुमेंटम एड बाकुलम, आर्गुमेंटम एड होमिनम, ये लॉ में पढ़ाए जाएंगे बच्चों को। लेकिन इसके अलावा भी लॉजिकल फैलेसीज है। बैकवर्ड प्रोजेक्शन ऑफ लॉजिकल प्रेमाइसिस। बाबरी मस्जिद, राम मंदिर क्यों बनेगा साहब? वो 1526 में मीर बाकी ने इसको गिरा दिया था ना, 500 साल पहले गिराया था, उसको करोगे? एक। दूसरा होता है बैकवर्ड प्रोजेक्शन ऑफ लॉजिक के साथ आप इसको कहां तक एक्सटेंड करेंगे? एक साहब उठे, उन्होंने कहा नहीं साहब ये सारा राम वाम जितने भी थे ये तो उसी अल्लाह से आए हैं। तो हम बैकवर्ड प्रोजेक्शन ऑफ लॉजिक करते हैं। दोनों लिखा है ऋग्वेद में, गौ मांस का खाना भी लिखा है, लेकिन वो सोसाइटी तो प्रिमिटिव थी, जब एग्रेरियन सोसाइटी बनी तो बदल गया। तो हमें लॉजिक में देखना होगा कि लॉजिकल फैलेसीज हम अपने आर्गुमेंट में ना रखें, अननेसेसरी इमोशंस, लॉजिकल फैलेसी। अगर हम स्ट्रेट लॉजिक करें तो शायद आज जो सवाल हमारे ऊपर है, जिसके लिए आज हम इकट्ठा हुए हैं सैटरडे को, शायद एक बड़ा सम्यक व्यू आ जाएगा। वी विल हैव ए वेरी cogent perception about what exactly human rights violation is. How does it come about? Who does it? And what is the remedy thereof? तो मैं यही कहूँगा, डेमोक्रेसी के बारे में मैनकिन का एक बड़ा अच्छा स्टेटमेंट है। डेमोक्रेसी is a pathetic belief. Democracy is a pathetic belief in collective wisdom of individual ignorance. हमारी प्रॉब्लम यह है कि जो इंडिविजुअल इग्नोरेंट है, हर साल डायन कह के एक साइकेट्री के पेशेंट को, अभी कल ही आज की खबर है, झारखंड में मार दिया था। जी मैं बस ख़त्म कर रहा हूँ। झारखंड में उसने इसलिए मार दिया कि वो डायन थी, पूरे गांव को खाने आई है, ये कह के उसने ईंटे से मार दिया। और एवरी थर्ड डे दिस इज हैपनिंग। इस कलेक्टिव कॉन्शियसनेस के लेवल पे हम डेमोक्रेटिक प्रैक्टिसेस करते हैं। जो हाथ वो ईंटें चलाते हैं और उस डायन, उस महिला को मारते हैं, उन्हीं हाथों से हम मेंबर चुनवाते हैं पार्लियामेंट में और असेंबली में। तो मेरे ख्याल से डेमोक्रेसी हमारी कैसी है, जिसमें ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशन का मकाम क्या है, किस लेवल पे है, आई थिंक वी विल हैव टू delve deep into that. At the very fact that we have a person like, I mean, logically so correct. I am a student of logic. Tariq Fateh Saab, who is logically so correct. His premises are so well structured. वो मेरे साथ हैं, धिंगरा साहब है, जिनको हम कवर करते रहे हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि आज इस जो डेलिबरेशंस होंगे, इसका कुछ टेंजिबल रिजल्ट निकलेगा। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
In fact, sometimes in order to make the symposium interesting, जैसे हम कहते हैं ना कि लोगों को झंझोड़ना, तो वो बहुत ज़रूरी हो जाता है। तो कई बारी कुछ इस टाइप की बातें कि भाई कहाँ कहाँ पर ह्यूमन राइट्स, हम कितनी तरीके से हम ह्यूमन राइट्स को देख रहे हैं, उन वायलेशंस को केवल अपरेंटली देख रहे हैं या कुछ सटल भी ऐसी जगह हैं जहाँ पर ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेट हो रहे हैं। उन सब चीज़ों को देखना है हमको आज जब हम इस डिस्कशन के लिए बैठे। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर फॉर सेटिंग द बॉल रोलिंग, एंड आई नाउ रिक्वेस्ट मेजर जनरल विजय धल। Let me introduce you to him. He was commissioned into the Regiment of Artillery of Indian Army in 1973. He served in various regimental positions and staff appointments, and finally commanded his own regiment. He attended prestigious courses and staff courses, Wellington and Higher Command in Army War College. He is an upright officer and has always been working for the rights of the defense, of the people in the defense. Today, when we are talking about all sections of society, I think Army, the people of the Army, we respect them all, and I'm sure if their rights are being violated at some place or not being looked into, we need to look into them, and I'm sure Major General Vijay Dhal is going to create an awareness on this particular issue. Major General Dhal.
Honorable Mr. Justice Dhingra, Madam Mr. Verma, Mr. Tariq Fateh, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and friends. Well, I'm here. I'm grateful to first of all to the organizers to having given me a chance to talk of humane angle of human rights violations and Army. I have no technical definition to offer, and I'm not a professor or a technical man or law graduate, but I only understand the rights given to me by the Indian Constitution are my rights. They are the rights given to me by Indian Constitution and the society. Those are my rights. And so does a soldier understand, and we make him understand that. I'll share my views on human rights as per my experience and knowledge. I started my career from Northeast in '73, had 2 tenures there, served in Kargil as commanding officer, and after 38 years of service, hang my boot in our GOC of Madhya Bharat area, that is Naxal infected area. So I have a little experience of all this. I am here to experience my views and experiences on this subject proper. Well, these days it is fashionable to become a defense expert or analyst. I'm neither one, but I do have certain experiences which I'll share those experiences only. But if you have any question, you're most welcome to ask me. Because why I say that, defense analysts are appointed by normally the militaries and by the governments to examine, evaluate or review situations, write their comments, give their recommendations, and that's how the governments work. At the outset, let me state that our armed forces are not some kind of mercenary force. They are out to kill people or commit any kind of atrocities on people. They love their countrymen. They are a very disciplined force, which is well motivated, well trained, obedient and patriot to the core. They have a very good reputation all over the world, that of a professional army, when they have worked with UN forces or with the other foreign armies. Second point I like to make is the army men are human beings and have emotions. They did not join the army to fight their own countrymen, even if they are misguided, but the aggressors. Primary job of the army, we all know, is to defend the country against external aggression. But should the need be there, of course, they will come to the help of the nation in any calamity, any situation. Here it is important to understand that the security forces are there to protect everyone's human rights. When I'm talking about army, by no means I am overlooking the hardships or violations on paramilitary forces or police forces or my sister services like Navy or Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, when we join army, the first learning is take pride, rest will follow. Take pride in your organization, yourself, your well-being, your dress, your outlook, your company, your battalion, your regiment, your country. The country comes first. This is what is taught to us and this is what we teach our subordinates in turn throughout our life, and this is what is followed. Just imagine this small little saying, take pride in yourself. Tomorrow onwards, see yourself in mirror and take pride in yourself. You will find that you are a better human being. But all this reflects in your actions thereafter, throughout your life. All Indian Armed Forces personnel are required to take an oath of allegiance to the Indian Constitution on commissioning or joining army. Well, I like to add here, swearing and being disciplined are not exactly same. Discipline is instilled after years of training and character development, whereas swearing is more like a tradition that has been developed just like a uniform, wearing a uniform or marching band, etc. All traditions serve a purpose. In this case, swearing the oath serves the purpose of instilling a sense of responsibility and a spirit of patriotism in the soldiers. The oath, as I read, I think time is short, I'll not read that oath, but it says that once I'm joined the army, I'll serve in land, sea or air, or I'm dropped anywhere, I'll serve there, and even I'll obey the orders of my President or the Union of India and superiors who are set above me, even to the peril of my life. A training on joining the Officers Training Academy is referred to as Gentleman Cadet. One reason for this is that the Academy expects its graduates to uphold the highest moral, ethical and traditional values. Why I'm talking all this is so that we know what kind of material comes to army, whether it is a Jawan or officer. When he joins the army, passes out from IMA, military academy, which was set up in 1932, and the first Field Marshal Chetwood, he said in his opening address, which is written in golden letters on the eastern gate of the Chetwood Hall in IMA. He says, the safety, honor and welfare of your country comes first, always and every time. The honor, welfare and comfort of the men you command comes next. Your own ease, comfort and safety comes last, always and every time. Ladies and gentlemen, training in the army at all levels aims at ensuring that personnel are given the knowledge and skill to undertake the individual and collective tasks, as well as play their part as team members in single service, joint operations or combined operation. It is suicidal to send anyone without proper training, without proper equipment, without proper motivation and without proper skill development into war. But I'll not talk of cases. The books are in plenty, which you can read on any war, whether 62, 65 or any other war, where it says that how unprepared, ill-equipped army was sent for an operation. As regards the training and the army life is concerned, I'll say, besides during service, officers interact with their men on daily basis, almost, and describe them the tasks they are to do every day, almost, so that there is no deviation and there is no aberration. But as regards human rights, enough has been said. I'll like to say only one thing. Human rights is for everybody, including soldiers. I was talking of violations. I just noted 2-3 instances just sitting there. After 65 war, Haji Pir was handed over back to Pakistan, which we had won with our blood and sweat. Very few people know that Prime Minister of the country took decision to send forces to Sri Lanka in an evening party. In 1984, Army was asked to occupy Saltoro Ridge in summer clothing. But the army came out with flying colors. And we are talking about human rights violations by army soldiers. Now the question is Indian Army really violating human rights? Or is it trying to do a job keeping the citizens safe from terrorists and adversaries? Did Army go there on their own? Or did one day Army thought of, let's go to Punjab, let's go to Manipur or J&K or any other place and harass the people? Or they are equally the victims? You think army people love to live without their families in sub-zero temperature, where weather, terrain, or the adversaries, terrorists can cause fatal damage any day, any time? More so when your one hand is tied behind, because everybody is watching you with TV cameras. Do you think they like to be there to serve the nation, yet knowing at back of their mind that people around hate you? That is the situation, gentlemen. Army is a conformist, focused and dedicated force that does the job to its best capability with always keeping the safety and security of the countrymen in mind. The foremost and first learning that any young officer is given by the commanding officer the day he joins the unit in a CI environment, that is counterinsurgency environment, terrorist environment as commonly called. Let 10 terrorists escape, but don't hurt an innocent civilian. And it is followed very seriously by all officers. Having said that, I must admit there has been few human rights violations by individual. Either they were too ambitious, too enthusiastic, or too emotional, though emotions have no place in army. But friends, with all responsibility, I would like to say that each violation has been taken notice of, dealt legally, and the cases have been finalized in shortest possible time, and the guilty have been punished. I admit that while doing the task requires a certain infringement on basic rights of people and their freedom, which cannot be avoided given the overlap of security versus freedom. I like to add here that besides certain aberrations, the citizens of our country still love army and have a lot of faith. I'll quote two instances which happened with me. I was Colonel Adam of a formation in Ahmedabad. That is the time this earthquake in Bhuj took place, that is January 2001. We were helping out the people. The locals approached us. They say, here are the donations, here is the stuff. Please deliver it to those people. Please make sure that it is given to the victims. I said, I can't take the money. I told my boss also, I said, sorry, I can't take the money. I can take the stuff and send it across, make sure that it is delivered. But they said, no, we only have faith in you. We can't send the money, we can't send other stuff also through the other people because we are not sure whether they'll reach. I had a similar experience. I was GOC of Madhya Bharat area when Op Kosi Prahar took place in 2008. In the flood situation, people came to us. They said, here is the stuff, please deliver it. I said, okay, we'll deliver the stuff. We'll take note of everything, make sure where it is delivered and whom is delivered. That's the kind of faith they have. Now, a word about separatist leaders. They have been able to play the friction very effectively and create a monster which isn't there. Sitting comfortably in their houses in Europe or metros, riding big fancy cars, enjoying immunity, enjoying all the privileges, traveling around the world on pretext of garnering sport, and having well-guarded palatial houses. These people project themselves as voice of the common man. They just have their political agenda or other agendas to fulfill and are not ashamed to bring terror to their state, which affects most of their citizens, who they claim to be fighting for. Militants, on the other hand, are having a free day. They're burning educational institutes, cleansing of valley of other minorities, Sikhs and Hindus, and creating an atmosphere of fear, hatred, and anger. And these people I enjoy. Honestly, the only people who have suffered in this debacle are common people and that common soldier. They fight for their masters, they stay confused why they are against their own countrymen or army. They clash in open roads and throw stones at each other. And in the end, who dies? Both of them. They only suffer, the countryman and the soldier on the road. Human rights in disturbed area are a very relative term. The same army's friend, when it rescues you from flood, and an army and an enemy, when it stops your car to check the boot. The day people understand this diabolical situation the army is in and extend a supporting hand, the entire propaganda created by some selfish leaders will die a rightful death and give way to better life for everyone. Now I have a question. When a mob is attacking a secluded post or a bunker where 2 to 3 men are there armed, with 10-year-old and some ladies as shield, they keep coming closer to you. The mob is ready to lob a grenade at you. What stage do I order him to fire and disperse that mob? Or he takes a decision because there are only 2 or 3 men there to fire at the mob? Answer this question I have not been able to get. I have served in the environment also. I have not been able to get this answer. The situation is not different in Central Asia, Central India also, where the Naxal use similar tactics. They are movie monkas. They attack a police post which has got 2 to 3 or 5 men and loot the complete police post and run away and kill those people. I cannot permit my men to die for some anti-national element. Let that anti-national element die for his cause, howsoever pious it may be. One addition I'd like to state here for the law students. Army is not trained to fire in air. It fires for effect. Against adequate warning, if someone crosses the line laid down by the army, then he must be punished. Remember, army is the first to donate ration and pay for the flood victims or any victims of any calamities. In the end, I would quote ex-Army Chief General Bikram Singh, who said on Army Day of 2013, he said, Indian Army's record is the best in the world as far as human rights is concerned. Noting that Indian Army personnel work in tough terrains like Siachen, General Singh said that they discharge their duties in those areas while following the principles of war and human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, task of armed forces is to make you feel secure so that you can do your task effectively and have peaceful life. I am sanguine that the armed forces of this country will continue to do their task effectively hereafter. Thank you very much for patiently.
May I now request an academician, Professor N.S. Bawa, to kindly come and interact with us on issues related to human rights. Professor Bawa retired from Delhi University. Later on, retired as a professor from there. Later on, he was at Vivekanand Institute of Professional Studies and also at University of Petroleum in Dehradun. At present, he is with us in SGT University. And today, he is going to talk about an issue which relates to the rights of the people who died or who suffered as a result of the 1984 riots. I must tell you that he represented before the Mishra Commission and the Nanavati Commission on this particular issue itself, the rights of the people who suffered during the 1984 riots. May I request Professor N.S. Bawa to kindly present his view before us.
To dignitaries as it dies, Honorable Justice Dhingra, Dr. Professor S.K. Verma, and Tariq Fateh Saab. Actually, this is such a topic which is so dear to me that I am engaged in this work since the inception of the Mishra Commission in 1985. At that time, myself and Fulka were only two advocates and two advocates for Delhi. There were no advocates to represent the victims in Kanpur and Bokaro. So the responsibility was given to me. The responsibility was given to me to represent the victims at Kanpur and Bokaro because nobody had the courage to go to those places from Delhi. Even the local bar, even the Sikh advocates of Kanpur and Bokaro, they were too hesitant to to represent the victims. So since August 1985, I have been with the victims, recording their evidence, preparing their affidavits, representing their cases before the Mishra Commission, before the Nanavati Commission, and also I was appointed as a special public prosecutor by the government of Delhi for some time. I accepted that offer despite my reluctance to do this job, because I knew that the police has done very shoddy investigation and it's very difficult to get a conviction. But anyhow, I was persuaded by Mr. Fulka and Madanlal Khurana that you see have an inside pinch of the thing, what actually is contained in the investigations. You have seen the commissions, see this also before the district court or high court, wherever you want to go. So as it happened, when I represented the victim, I saw the files. I told the chief minister that I cannot do these cases because I cannot get the convictions. On the basis of these documents, I am not getting any support from the police or from any investigation agency, not even from the director of prosecution, to add in anything to what has been done by the police. In these circumstances, it is not possible for me to represent the cases of the victim effectively. So therefore, I resigned after a few months. For this purpose, I had to take the special permission from the Vice Chancellor of their university to represent the riot victims. Now, the first question which comes to my mind, actually I have been told by Professor Khanna that time is only 10 to 15 minutes. This is a subject on which a person can talk like weeks together. So much material is there. I have given most of my material to Mr. Fulka, which has been uploaded on a website, which is in public domain. All the judgments which I have collected, about 70 of them, I gave it to him. They are available on the website. Lot of material is available on the websites also. Mishra Commission, Nanavati Commission, the report of all the 8 committees are also on the internet. So they can be approached. So I will not talk much about that. I was asked to narrate my experiences before the commissions and the committee and the courts. First thing is, as you know, that the figures given in the sites, it is 2733 killings in Delhi alone. We had submitted a list of 34 people who were killed. So they were died, as my friend has said, that so many persons had died. They have not died. They have been killed in a most brutal manner. Now the question is, we submitted a list of 3,400 victims who were killed, not only the injured or who were the ladies who were raped, the children who had become, all these persons, but we have given only the number of killings. Somehow, a Ahuja committee was appointed, which they gave the figure of 2,733. Now, as per our estimate, in those 72 fateful days, 72 fateful hours, there were 1 killing per minute every hour for 3 days. So the figure comes to about so much killing, 1 killing per minute in a most brutal manner. Is it not a violation of human right? Is it not a Sikh community which is sufferer? No. It is all the human beings who will suffer. Today it is Sikh community, tomorrow it may be any other community. So I say it is not a riot. It is a genocide. It is a genocide under the UN Convention of 1948, where they have said that there is the Article 1 says that genocide is a crime under international law which they undertake which may be committed either in the time of peace or in the time of war. And Article 2 of the convention says the convention means killing of members of a group or causing serious bodily or mental harm to the members of the group. Does it not amount to genocide? Article 6 of the Rome Convention, which is adopted by the International Criminal Court, has also adopted this definition of genocide. So in my submission, this is not a riot at all. This is a case of a organized genocide perpetrated and abetted by the administration of that time. Even though Mishra Commission had finally observed that it was not an organized crime. He has only said that so many people have been killed, the number is not yet certain. He says killing was there, the Congress high people at the lower functioning was involved. Doesn't mean that the top functioning was also involved, because there is no evidence. So my dear friends, I don't think any victim can get an evidence of the complicity of the highest administration in this genocide. Anyhow, Mishra Commission and Nanavati Commission, they have adopted a strange method of investigation. It was totally adversarial. We many times represented to the commission that you should allow us to cross-examine the higher functionaries, like the commissioner, additional commissioner, and all those higher functionaries. But he refused. All those people, they were examined by the commission in the closed door. All the proceedings of the Mishra Commission were in camera. We are told that it is in camera, but when I was representing the victims in Delhi, Kanpur and Bokaro, I found that the culprits are also sitting in those rows as an audience. And the copy of the affidavit is with the audience, with the culprits. So what type of investigation we would expect from this type of commission? So you see, the main plank of their argument was that there was shortage of forces, shortage of police. I said, suppose in a colony, there's only one Sikh house of a Sikh community. Who prevented you to depute 10 police wala there? No military is required, nothing is required. You should have taken steps to protect that family. But there was no answer. They only said, we have gone to that area and we have taken the action. What action they have taken, nobody knows. The investigations were totally shoddy. As you know, I may not take your time in that. But despite these two commissions, Mishra Commission, Nanavati Commission, and 8 different committees appointed by the government, the result is just no top level person has been punished. You might be reading in the newspaper against Sajjan Kumar, against Bhagat, against those people. Bhagat has not died. So I will just quote a line from, sir, I will quote a line from your judgment. Justice Dhingra at that time was doing the riot cases, in the words of the government, in that eastern Delhi. So I appeared before him 1 or 2 times, and I will just later on refer to his one more judgment. So in effect, there was no capital punishment. Justice Dhingra, he just awarded punishment, death punishment. You know, for murder, there's only 2 sentences, death or life. And death is given the rarest of rare cases. Is it not a rarest of rare case? Killing a person, innocent person, without any fault, and he is being burned. I don't know, you see, the victims have said that they were burned alive. I think Professor Dhingra may be knowing this fact, Professor Dogra, because I have been told that he was at that time in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So whether there was a forensic report, whether the dead body is the charred body of Trilokpur area, they had been sent to All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So whether the person who has died, has he died because of burning when he was alive? Or he was burnt after he was killed? I don't think any post-mortem report gives that information to us. In the investigation which I have seen, hardly there was any sketchy information about the post-mortem. Most of the accused have been acquitted, that it is not clear whether they were. See, earlier they used to take a argument that as the dead body is not found, therefore nobody can be held guilty. Later on, the Supreme Court said that is not required, because that is a mockery of justice. Kill a person, destroy his dead body, and say that body is not available, and you can do that crime with impunity. Anyhow, I'll just give you one case. And you know what, you might have read in the papers that even now, after 30 years, the SIT has now been constituted, Special Investigative Team by the Home Ministry of the Government of India, to reopen those cases which have not been investigated by the police. So far, 79 cases have been recognized. So, see what happens in 30 years. The victims, they might have died, they might have gone somewhere, the witnesses are not available. How can there be a punishment? Probably it will be difficult to get the punishment. So as I stated earlier, which of the punishment is suitable for such types of crimes? So I just refer to, sir, a case decided by you. It was a case of a meat seller from East Delhi. You know, he has a big chopper to cut pigs, meat to be sold in the market. On that day, on 2nd in the morning, he killed so many people with that chopper, meat chopper. So much was the brutality of killing. So therefore, in that case, Honorable Justice Dhingra, he was of the view that this is the rarest of rare case, and he awarded the death punishment. When the case came before the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court was of the opinion that this is an amorphous group of persons, amorphous groups of persons, and they ran berserk, unguided by sense or reason, and triggered only by a demented psyche. When an amorphous group, I'm quoting Supreme Court, when an amorphous group of persons come together, it cannot be said they indulge in any systematic organized activity. Such group may indulge in activity and may remain cohesive only for a temporary period, and thereafter would disintegrate. The acts of the mob of which the appellant was a member cannot be said to be a result of any organization or any group indulging in violent activities, formed for any purpose to scheme so as to cause an organized activity. In that sense, we may say that the acts of mob was only a result of temporary frenzy. Only two more lines. This is a very longish judgment. He says, there may be one section of society which may cry for a very deterrent sentence, while another section of the society may exhort upon the court to be lenient in the matter. And the Supreme Court said that this is not the rarest of the rare cases, and the death punishment was commuted to life imprisonment. Thereafter, another judgment by K.P. Thomas in the Supreme Court, they quoted this judgment, and they also they converted the death punishment into life. So therefore, now, in the times to come, only 2 minutes more. In the times to come, whenever there's a killing by the mob, whether it is Gulbarga society, whether it is in Gujarat or Delhi or Tilokpuri, anywhere in India, till this judgment remains, the person who commits mass murders will not get death punishment. That is the decision of the Supreme Court. And you know who gave this judgment? This judgment was given by in the bench constituted by Nanavati and Rajendra Babu. Later on, who became the Commission of Inquiry. This judgment was given in 1998, December, and he became a Commission of Inquiry 2 years thereafter. So I think it is for you to ponder how much justice a particular community got from the various commissions and various committees. Thank you very much.
We have with us, as I told you earlier, Mr. Tariq Fateh. As I told you earlier, he's a secularist and an activist. He's a person who strongly believes that there should be a separation of religion and state. He in fact started as a reporter in Karachi and was an investigative journalist. But he always wanted what we know about him. In fact, just a few days back I was listening to, his discourse when the discussion was taking place on Baluchistan. And it was it's a treat to listen to such people. We are very fortunate that we have a person of his repute, a person of his way of thinking with us today, someone who believes, who always believes in speaking from the heart. Because when you listen to him, you feel that he's not talking academically, no. When you listen to him, even as a journalist, he's not one of those who's going to analyze everything. No, he speaks from the heart. And today, we are fortunate that he's with us over here. And today also, he'll be talking about issues related to human rights.
Good evening. My impression in coming here was that we would be dwelling on the issue of human rights. But I'll be very honest, like most of India, this forum too seems to be introverted and unable to comprehend what's happening around the world. My apologies, Major General. You represent one of the finest armies that has ever served any country on earth. And coming from a country where generals don't usually sit where you're sitting, they sit over and above everyone else and have devastated the lives of, I would say, hundreds and millions. I think Indians would be better served if they knew how much the Indian Army has suffered at the hands of incompetent, illiterate, intemperate intelligentsia and chattering heads of this country who, while India burns under the threat of annihilation, simply look for vote banks and to get re-elected. I would have hoped somebody would have told me that SGT was not an abbreviation of Guru Gobind Singh. If I was a student here, I would start a campaign not to call it SGT. I don't like the word tricentennial or S or G. You are worthy students of Guru Gobind Singh, and you made that into an abbreviation. What about the human rights of Tegh Bahadur or Guru Gobind Singh, stabbed in the back by the Mughal army that you tolerated for hundreds of years? Who stood up? You think you have any place in this city for Ranjit Singh? I don't think so. You don't even have a place for Raja Dahir, who was the first one in the 8th century to stop your plunder. But you don't care. You don't want. You're simply too internalized in time frames that are so narrow, so, excuse the term, laughable, that today the very people who slaughtered Tegh Bahadur are on your doorstep saying Hindustan Murdabad. And the critique comes of the Indian army, not of the murderous mobs that wish to destroy Indian civilization because it is their goal since Ghazwa-e-Hind in the 7th and 8th centuries. I'm astonished. Today is the anniversary of the International Declaration of, let me emphasize, universal human rights. And for everyone and his uncle complaining about the problems that some other segment of this society has, I would suggest to you is illiterate about what is universal about human rights. Universal human rights is when the individual is supreme. When your daughter's rights are supreme above everything else, that she's not your property, nor the brother's property, nor the boyfriend's property, nor the husband's, nor the mother-in-law's. And I'm sorry, India has miles to go. You don't even understand the concept of an individual's sacrosanct human rights. You are bound by communities. You went through partition of Punjab and then you partition Punjab again. You do realize what I'm talking about. You first allowed this country to be slaughtered. Just one country. UP was not slaughtered. Punjab was slaughtered. No other place was slaughtered. Karnataka was not slaughtered. What did you do after a couple of years? The great sages, intellectuals of this country, they cut it again. They said the Sikhs will have their state and the Hindus will have Haryana. So you validated the very people who destroyed you. And there's one army fighting in minus 60 degrees to stop the Uzbek, Babar, Tughlaq, and all those Altamushes who devastated Nalanda University. And from that day, India went down. You're talking of human rights of soldiers? Or those that the soldiers kill? For goodness sake, 13 million dead in Congo? I don't think anyone over here knows that. 500,000 slaughtered in Darfur in 2005? Does anyone know? Does anyone know the name of Humphrey? Does anyone relate to the word Humphrey? Human rights? That's the guy you're observing today. The International Human Rights Day is on today, when a Canadian called Peter Humphrey and Eleanor Roosevelt put together the words that hardly any Indian will ever read. And there was one country that opposed it, leaving aside the Soviet bloc, and that was Saudi Arabia. Guess why Saudi Arabia alone voted against the International Convention on Human Rights? They said, under our domain, anyone who changes the religion, which is a fundamental human right, needs to be killed. You can't say that, because India, since 1947, has learned a lesson never to ever, under any circumstances, deal with the situation which is at hand. What sort of human rights threat do you face today? Is ISIS not bigger threat than 1984? And for 1984, isn't there 1947? When the entire city of Lahore does not have a single Hindu or Sikh living over there? And we've been convinced that dono taraf se hua tha. What are we talking about? There's 20% of Delhi's population is Muslim. One side slaughtered, the other side people left. If you can't say that, don't talk about the truth. Don't talk of human rights. Don't talk of anything except becoming CEOs of companies and getting rich, because that's what you want. And your enemies want to die and you want to live. Lawyer और गुंडे की लड़ाई में कभी लॉयर जीता ही नहीं. आप बने लॉयर, पाकिस्तान गुंडे बना रहा है. वो जूते पड़ रहे हैं आपको 47 से. You get buried, burnt alive in Bombay, and where do you go to complain? From the people who attacked you. सर हमारा सोफा चोरी करके ले गए, हमारा बिस्तरा वापस दे दीजिए सर, वो बताइए वो जेवर भी ले गया, नानी का था. Is this a nation? You attack your army? You bloody Naxalites are farming for a communism in which Venezuela and all exporting countries bankrupt? Let me tell you something. Our first gentleman talked about 1% owning 37% of the wealth, now going up to 58%. It's got nothing to do with human rights, by the way. Nothing. You want to fight socialism and justice, we'll debate that. But the right of the billionaire is as sacred as the life of the person he exploits. Whether the billionaire is committing a crime comes under the criminal code. If he's committing an economic crime, it comes under the new demonetization nightmare that they're facing. I've never seen people more happy in this country who are standing in lines than ever. The waiters at the hotel where I stay. You want human rights? They are having a dance without money in their pockets because they're seeing these upper middle class, pompous little kitty party aunties not attending any more kitty parties. It's finished. It's over. You need to be aware who your enemy is. The enemy has a nuclear bomb. Your papa might not tell you, and even when you're a 14-year-old pappu, your mom still may feed you with parathas. But you need to wake up because your mom is ignorant and your dad is dumb because in 1947 they cut the arms of India and they said, "Chalo changa hua hai, dafa hoye." You have sinned in your national anthem and you don't have sinned in your arms. And you're talking of human rights? What about the human rights of Bacha Khan? Who betrayed him? Who betrayed Balochistan? You! The Indians! Because you thought that anybody who speaks Urdu is good. And Punjabi, Pashto, these people from the hills, they don't sit with Maulana Azad to have a mushaira. They don't speak Urdu, they speak Punjabi, Balochi, Sindhi. And you got duped by the very people who are still here. Because 90% of them voted for Pakistan in Delhi, in Deoband, in Bareilly, in Patna, in Dhaka, in Madras, in Bombay, where you elected Muhammad Ali Jinnah, not us. Punjabis didn't elect him. You elected him 26 years in a row. And then you turned around and said, what have we got to do with it? What's the name of that smuggler from Bombay? Dawood Ibrahim is an Indian and I'm not an Indian. You got certain Italians who are Indian, but I'm not one. I'm born on the Indus, my dear. You guys have forgotten that you belong to the Indus. While the UP Muslim taught you that Ganga Jamna Tehzeeb is some new. No! Kurukshetra. That's where we did it. That's in Punjab. You may call it Haryana. That doesn't change a damn thing. You want to stand up for human rights. It's the day you stand up for yourself. This is the day you say, like someone asked me, मैं पंजाब दा, what was the word he said? Vora. Bora. मैं समझा दाऊदी बोरा कह रहा. Everyone in India introduces themselves by their caste. Believe me, in Pakistan, we don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm not exaggerating. When Bajwa is told he didn't even know that Bajwa meant coming from a Hindu background. You are getting pompous in believing you have the best system in the world. But you are not implementing human rights in your heart and your soul. The human rights of the maid who works in your house but never sits on the dining table is sacrosanct. Never ever speak of human rights if you've not had dinner with that maid on your table. Or you've never been to a restaurant while she's holding the little baby and she takes the leftovers back home. Every day of your life, you're lawyers. You're the intelligentsia. If you don't understand what's coming with Pakistan's nuke and 100 million Punjabi Muslims who think they are Arabs, which means they are delinquent, which means they don't know who they are, then you have a serious problem at hand, and all you send to the front line are not your sons. You send poor Biharis, poor Gurkhas, poor Marathas. Not a single middle-class man since 1947 has sent his own son on the front line as a soldier. Think of Israel. Ariel Sharon started as a soldier. Think of the United States. Bush Senior to Bush Junior, either they run away or they serve. Even Prince Harry has to serve under some officer. Here, the officer class, including Major General, not his fault, the British made the army as such, are from the upper middle class or maybe working class that rose there. But believe me, 100% of the soldier of the Indian army is not from the upper middle class. Nobody sends their son to serve in the front line. Who are you facing? People who go to Oxford University and come and blow themselves up in Tel Aviv. People who went to the School of South Asian Studies and slit the neck of Daniel Pearl. They don't care about caste. They don't want to grow up to become CEOs or to marry a CEO, to have a kitty party all your life for 50 years. No, they want to destroy you and read up what is Ghazwa Hind. If you can't read it, if you don't understand it, stop asking rhetorical questions. Ask honestly, sir, what the hell is happening? And someone or the other will tell you. But the problem in India and its human rights is, anytime you want to talk to a Muslim, you make sure he's ugly and he has a long beard and वो खड़े बड़े भाई का पजामा और छोटे भाई का कुर्ता पहन के जाके night type people, you talk to them. You don't talk to a Muslim architect or an engineer. He's too good looking to look like a Muslim. Look at your own stereotypes, and that is destroying you from within. How can 20,000 people march? Indian Muslims march with Hindustan Murdabad. Now you'll say, where? And suddenly the same Indians that you say Our Indians, which is the Srinagar Muslims, you will say, ah, wo to Kashmiri hain. It didn't happen then, it's happening now. Your survival as Indian civilization is at stake. The human rights that you have, whatever you have, will dissipate the day a dirty bomb falls. Because the next day, what is Pakistan will disappear from the surface of earth. But you will have no crops for another few thousand years. Think about it, keep your eyes open, respect your armed forces, because there are 3 industries that are world class in India: Bollywood, advertising, and the Indian military. Everything else is substandard. Thank you.
May I now request Dr. Mrs. Professor Verma to kindly express her views on several issues related to the human rights. Ma'am, Mrs. S.K. Verma, she has had her studies in Banaras Hindu University, from where she did her LLM. She did her doctorate from Harvard University, was a former professor in the Faculty of Law in Delhi University, and she has authored, edited, and published several books. She has more than 35 teaching research articles, and I'm sure she's the kind of person who is awakened to these particular issues on human rights. And I'm sure we stand here to learn from her once again. May I request Madam Professor Verma to kindly address the audience.
Major General Vijay Dal, my learned colleague, Professor N.S. Bawa, and very energetic speech by Mr. Tariq Fateh. I don't know whether I will be able to match him or not. Now, as a matter of fact, I thought that today's topic is stand up for someone's rights. I have been listening that everybody has speaking on something or the other. I have confined myself to the topic of the day, and that is stand up for someone's rights today. And as we all know, that the United Nations, since its inception, I mean, its main agenda was to have the respect for the human rights, and that was way back in 1945, it is in its charter. And thereafter in 1948, which is a part of the history, that the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted on this day, that is 10th December. 9th December was the day on 1948 when the Convention on Genocide was being adopted, which Professor Bawa was just telling that genocide, yes, that is true, the definition says so. Now, all this convention particularly, it stressed, I mean, there are 30 articles, it talked about the equality among the people, regardless of the creed, sex, or religion, or all those things. That is what it had been talked about. Now, when we talk about it has yet to go a long way, I must say that it is yet to go a long way. I was surprised that when, in the very beginning, when there was felicitation of our speakers and all those things, it so happened that all our male guests, they were being given the bouquet and you see all those things by the females. When my turn came, it was Mrs. Harjai who came. I don't know, you see, whether it's a job to felicitate to the males by the females, and the females are to be felicitated by the males. Where is the equality? Where is the equality? I just want to know that where is the equality. And you see, I'm not surprised that we are following this because we are used to it. Now, this is when we talk about that there is an equality. Now, we in India, we are a party to all the human rights conventions to talk about all the human rights. None of them it is being legislated. And despite that, as we have We are the party to both the covenants. We are the party to all the major conventions, none of them legislated, as I'm saying. We have the provisions in the directive principles, in the fundamental rights. All those provisions, they are there. But you see, government, while ratifying these treaties, I mean, I'm not talking about the legislating, it has done a very good job by not interfering at all and by not giving the effect to all those conventions also. This is very important. I must say that while when we ratified the Right of the Child Convention 1989, what the government did, that it put a reservation to Article 32. And what is that article? I will just, with the permission, I would like to read. State parties recognize the right of the child to be protected from economic exploitation and from performing any key work that is likely to be hazardous or to interfere with the child's education or to be harmful to the child's health or to physical, mental, spiritual, moral, or social development. We have put a reservation. That is, we will not implement this particular provision. So we will allow the child's exploitation. Where is the right of the child then? So we can close our eyes because state is not going to protect. And these rights, this is the duty of the state that it should protect. Same as with the Convention Against the Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, 1979. We put two very important reservations. That is to Article 5 and that is Article 16. Article 5, that is the state will not modify the, state's party shall take all appropriate measures to modify the social and cultural patterns of conduct of men and women with a view to achieving the elimination of prejudices and customary and all practices which are based on the idea of the inferiority or the superiority of either of the sexes or on stereotyped roles of men and women. So, we are not going to change the stereotype roles at all because we have put a reservation. That's what you see. I have been given the these presentation by the women, and the men they were given by the women again. So stereotype role is that woman has to greet the man, and man cannot greet the woman because his stature will go down. So that is how it is. So this is Article 16 again. It says that in the family matters, I mean, there should be equality. There is most unequal situation, that is a family. And here we have put a reservation that this provision we will not be applicable. That the government said that we cannot interfere because there are a number of, you see, communities, they have their personal laws, we cannot interfere with their laws. So this is how it is. So where is the equality? Where is the justice? Where is the right? And there is all sorts of violence and everything is being taken. And when we talk about the someone's right, stand for someone's right, we see that everything is happening thereafter. You see, now if you look into the Secretary General's message, he talks about all these things, that the spirit that underlies our recently launched campaign to fight the xenophobia faced by so many refugees and migrants. That is also a spirit we will need to combat extremism that halt the erosion of respect for international humanitarian law and defend civil and social groups facing increasingly harsh measures aimed at preventing them from fulfilling their vital role. Now, as a matter of fact, you see, from 1948, we have come a long way. Number of conventions, development and all those, they have been. But what they could not foresee, that is recently what has happened. It's the new challenges they are coming. That is the challenge of refugees. That is there. There is a challenge of extremism, that is xenophobia. There is the environment for climate change, the environment and all those things which were never being foreseen. As a matter of fact, on refugees, there has been a convention in 1951, but that convention, you see, we have not ratified that convention till date. We are not a party to the protocol also, that is 1960. We are not a party to it. And you see, there is a rule of non-refoulement, that no one should be turned away from the borders. That is, you have to give the refuge. You have to give the asylum. And here it is international. We must also look into, we are so much introvert. I mean, we are so much confined looking into all the discussing. When we discuss about the human rights, we generally talk what is happening in the country. That is true that we should talk ourselves also, that what we are doing. But we should not be immune from what is happening around us. That refugee problem is so grave, extremism is so grave that it is giving rise to new rights. And then, you see, this is the situation one has to look into very carefully and provide certain measures. And there it is a xenophobia, maybe like what happened, that extremism in all the Western countries, it is at its peak at the moment. Trump is not the one day, it is not only in US, but it is all over the Europe that wave is coming up. And in our own country, we are not far away from that. It's only a matter of time when we will also be facing the similar situation. So we should guard against all these extremism, you see, trends, extremist trends. That is what I would like to put here, that new challenges which are coming up, we should be prepared for that, and accordingly we must, you see, provide the measures. And this is again, we should also not close our eyes that what is happening around us, that if somebody is being, I mean, child, when we say that it is being exploited, it is not that we are not party, we have put an exclusion to that particular clause. We should just close our eyes when we see that the children are being exploited around us. So we should do that. And when there is a women's rights and when with gender justice, we talk all the time, we make all the laws. But when it comes to the implementation, we again close our eyes. This is not, I'm saying that because I'm a woman, that I'm championing there. I never talk about the women's rights because I do feel that people will say that I'm prejudiced. That is not so. This is true that you see sitting on the whole your panel, I'm the only woman there. But you see, maybe for some reason I must be thankful to Professor Khanna that at least he found me worthy to come and speak at this occasion. And but at the same time, I must say that it is the gender justice which has to go a long way, and it is our other part of the side, that is males. They must play active role and see that their rights are being protected. So this is, thank you very much.
Our Honorable Justice Dhingra over here. We all know, we've all heard about him, and we all know also that he has in fact been with the judicial services since 1988, and he retired as a judge from the High Court. He was elevated in 2006, and he has given many judgments, including the Parliament, the attack on the Parliament. Even in that judgment, he was concerned. He was also there. He has given judgments in several other cases, including the Nitesh murder case. And he's known, as a matter of fact. In fact, all judges are known for their judicial wisdom, but he's also known for his judicious wisdom. And that was, in fact, an appreciation, a remark of appreciation, which was given to him by a senior judge from the Supreme Court when he retired. May I now request Honorable Justice S.N. Dhingra to kindly deliver the presidential writ. Honorable Justice Dhingra.
Thank you. Shri N.K. Singh, Major General Dhal, my Professor Baba, with whom I worked as a co-teacher and also as a student. I was there in the Law Center too, and Professor Verma and Shri Tariq Fateh. So it is my pleasure to be with the students of law and other scholars and well-known personalities. See, human rights is a very vast subject, and to ask somebody to speak on it in 10, 15 or 4 minutes, which have been given to me in the schedule, is very difficult. But one thing I have, you see, throughout my career as a advocate and as a teacher and as a judge, I have found that we have defined human rights everywhere. But we have not defined human. Who is a human? Does it mean that a person with 2 hands, 2 legs, and a body like this, eyes and face like this, if he becomes a human? And all such people have the same rights. If a person carries, you see, AK-47 or 56 or the next advanced version, with this body, and is out there to just start this automatic gun and start killing, he is also human. And his rights, in our country, his rights are considered superior to those who have been killed at his hand. That is the most tragic thing of this country, that when we call of and talk of human rights, we do not make distinction between human and so-called human. See, this whole Indian judicial system, those who have been following it, reading, and the psyche of the judges and our intellectuals is so molded by the declarations which they read and totally off ground that sometimes you fail to understand what they are talking. I was just listening to Mr. Singh. See, he has been a seasoned journalist. And he said, when army killed an Amrudwala, he did not tell you that Amrudwala was not aimed at. He got killed in crossfire. Now, if you come within the, you see, range of bullets where army is protecting you, and is trying to liquidate some of the terrorists who are out to kill the entire state, then killing of an Amrudwala becomes more important than killing of those terrorists. See, I have very good and bad experience of the press and journalism. I don't say that everybody writes in that manner. While I was conducting trial in Parliament attack case, articles were being written about innocence of Professor Gilani. I'm not talking of Afzal Guru. And everybody, writers from Kashmir, writers from this, they were not talking of facts. Nobody knew how the investigation proceeded and how the police reached the criminals. Had the phones of Professor Gilani not been taped and not put under surveillance, this Parliament attack case would not have been solved at all. This case was solved only and only because Professor Gilani's phones and talks were put under surveillance. His was the only phone which was postpaid. All others were SIM cards purchased prepaid for the temporary use. So from his phone, all records were taken, and then investigation concluded and people were caught. See, Mr. Baba talked of 84 rights. See, they were perhaps a chapter in Indian history which is most, unfortunate and a slur on this nation. And what happened after that is much more painful. Most of you, and Mr. Baba also doesn't know, that after 1984 riots, the court was to appoint a special judge for trial of these 1984 riots. From 84 to 89, no trial took place. Only investigation, commission reports, etc. were going on. In 89, one judge, session judge, was appointed as trial judge. Now this session judge was very close. He was my colleague and was of the same batch in which I was appointed. We were all appointed in 88. He was very close to H.R. Bhardwaj. In fact, he was from the chamber of H.R. Bhardwaj, who was then law minister. And he had no experience of criminal trial at all. And throughout his entire career, he had been a revenue advocate who used to appear before revenue courts for correction of girdavris, collection of money, pleading for, compensation for land. Now, there is hardly any conviction done by this court in 1984 riots. This is what I am saying. Not a single conviction. You see, his court was Court of East Delhi, Kakaduma, was, succeeded by me. See, I found that in Trilokpuri, 230 murders had taken place in one Trilokpuri. And police had filed one challan of 230 murders. There were about 200 accused persons named. And this trial started in 89 till 95 when I joined. See, the only thing being done was marking attendance of some accused and marking absent of other accused, issuing warrants, and that's all. There was special public prosecutor, Mr. Tandon. I asked him what is going on. Why you have not made a request for separation of challans of each murder? How 200 murders can be tried together? He said, we have made an application, but no decision has been taken. So I took up that application, ordered for filing separate challans in respect of each murder, and this was the case in which H.K.L. Bhagat, MP, and Mr. Ashok, who was MLA at that time, and many others, including that Kishori, etc., whom who were convicted, were there. Now the trial, I was able to finish all these cases within a period of 1.5 years, convicting those where there was evidence worth conviction and acquitting those where there was no evidence. But the tragedy is that the High Court and the Supreme Court and every other court who cry at the rooftop about the human rights, about the rights of the victims, about the rights of this, they don't pay attention to all what is happening at ground. You will be hearing cases of only those people in newspaper who have money, who can engage Kapil Sibal, Rajiv Dhawan, or some, Mr. Nariman, etc., etc. But you don't hear about the cases which are of the poor person who languish in jails, waiting for their appeal to be heard when Supreme Court and High Court are free from this frivolous PILs. We have 3 crore cases pending at trial courts. We cry of the deficiency of judges, 30% deficiency at High Court and Supreme Court level. But High Court and Supreme Court won't talk of the deficiency at trial court, which is also 30%. And the job of filling these vacancies is of the High Court and Supreme Court. There neither central government is involved, nor state government is involved. They have to hold exam, they have to hold interviews, they have to select people. Who stops them? Till from 1949, when the Constitution came into force, 50, And you see, till date, when the judiciary has been functioning with full independence and full power, they have so far not standardized a courtroom specification to be made available to a trial judge. There are no chairs available in any courtroom for litigants. And if whatever chairs are there, it is written there, if you go to Delhi court, reserved for advocates. You see, for whom these courts function? When we talk of human rights, we must talk of the rights of the common man. See, advocate and judges together cannot form a syndicate to run the courts. That we will run the courts in this manner, and this is how our system will function. Today, our courts are functioning as a syndicate. Let Parliament make any law for early disposal of cases. I give you a guarantee that so long as we have the present High Court and Supreme Court, they will fail this law. In 1976, CPC was amended, where limits were laid down that you will file WS in this time. Extreme time, 60 days is a normal time. Extended time can be 90 days. See, a bar association went to Supreme Court, High Court, Madras High Court, and obtained an order. No, 90 days limit can't be there. There can be exceptions. See, they can make suffer whole of the public for one person. So this is, you see, our elite class lives in different world. They do not know what is happening at ground. That is why, you see, this present demonetization must have made it clear that a large section of our elite class is corrupt. Bank officials who day in, day out are making black money white in the banks. The other officials who are in control. Why there is chaos in public? Not because money is less, but because we have become a corrupt society. And Mr. Tariq Fateh has very elegantly told you how we should not talk of human rights. We do not treat everybody equal. What to talk of? He is talking of your maid. I am saying in the courts, the advocates, there is distinction between a senior advocate and a junior advocate, between a known advocate and an unknown advocate. If there is a gone case, you engage an advocate who charges 7 to 10 lakh per hearing. A gone case will be, you see, admitted. Notice will be issued. And you have a very good case. And you see, any one of you after passing law, you see, dare and file this case before Supreme Court, and you, before you stand, this will be dismissed. This is what the equality is. I have personal experience of this. See, after I did advocate on record, a person came from Odisha to me. His land, see, he was land tiller. His land, he was tilling land from ages. SDM passed an order under section 145 CRPC, if any one of you know this section, about under this SDM can only pass order about who is in possession. Passed an order that landlord was in possession. And he passed this order after 2 years of hearing the argument. He heard argument in 2013, passed order in 2015. And there was Supreme Court judgment that you can't remember after 2 years what was argued. You can't pass an order after 2 years of hearing the arguments. I took up this matter to Supreme Court. Before I could stand and say, my lord, you see, the matter was dismissed. And in another case, where a director of a company was provided accommodation by the company and he ceased to be director. The accommodation was to be vacated. He did not vacate it. He kept enjoying. He first fought in Chief Judicial Magistrate, then he went to High Court. He lost there also. There was, no manner in which this case could have been admitted in Supreme Court. He asked me to, I was conducting his case. He asked me to brief Soli Sorabji. I told Soli Sorabji, there's nothing in this case. He said, no, you will see how I get this admitted. So he asked me to wait. When, the courts were near vacation, he moved the petition on last day and stood up and said, my lord, stay is to be granted and issue notice. Without knowing what is the matter and why it was there. Stay was granted, notice was issued. So this is how the elite class functions. And this is not only in courts. Go to chartered accountants, go to advocates, go to any profession, doctors. See, our elite class forgets that their poor people also live in this country. Ordinary people also live in this country. I don't say everybody, but there is a large section which still serves the common man. And there are people who are still concerned with the common man. But there is a class which is, well known in power groups and who is very close to politicians, very close to persons in power. Those who have a say, whose articles are written in newspaper, who appear in TV, and enlighten you on different subjects and topics. This powerful class, it has vested interest. I have seen this powerful class has so much vested interest that they deliberately mislead and misfeed the society. So, human rights, when we talk of, have relevancy only when we give equal treatment, when our conscience feels everybody is equal, not when Constitution says that equality is right, you are right. When you are conscious, in our society, when a son and daughter cannot be even treated equally, we talk of human rights. When your daughter and daughter-in-law can't be treated equally, we talk of equality. What kind of equality we are expecting? And persons who have gone through the whole thing, where inequality is the law, they become your governors. They become who pass judgments. They become, the rulers. That is why Madras High Court passed judgment that if a husband is giving sufficient to feed to his wife, he has a right to slap also. What if he has slept? The wife should be happy that he is feeding. So these people rise not because of their ability, again. They rise because of their closeness. And so long as we keep treating our society and keep trying to extract as much from the society and giving back as minimum as possible, this is not going to, we are not going to solve this problem. Inequality is going to rule this country so long as you people do not rise to the equation. First, at your home, at your, internally, raise your conscience, and then you are prepared to pay the cost of, your convictions. You can't get a cup of coffee or tea free, and you want freedom to be free. That can't. Thank you.
Stand up for someone's rights today. I'm sure all of us know that today's symposium was focused on this particular thing. Just think about what each speaker has said, and we'll feel that we all have learned something today. it was an educating symposium. And now I would request, I had already told you about this particular NGO, Call for Justice, and I would request Mr. R.M. Harjai for the pleasant duty of the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajan. Vote of thanks after every symposium is merely seen as a formality, as a full stop after a big sentence. We started late, and I understand that I should not further delay it, but I'm honored that I have been given this opportunity to say thanks to the eminent panelists. My thanks to the SGT University, Mr. Rajiv Khanna, who is a silent and unseen worker who contributed into the organization of this symposium. My thanks to the speakers, Mr. N.K. Singh, Major General Dhal, Mr. N.S. Bawa, Dr. Tariq Fateh, Dr. Mrs. Verma, and Justice Mr. Dhingra, S.N. Dhingra ji. 2-3 things which I just feel like that I must make my view on that. In the opening of this symposium, there was a talk about the state actor and non-state actor and about their human rights, vis-a-vis. And somewhere it was said that the state actors, because they draw the strength of the sovereign, so they have a more responsibility. I just want to clarify, though many other speakers have clarified it, that the state actors do understand and they work with full responsibility in discharging their duty, which is very, very difficult, protecting the people at their back, protecting the human rights of the people who are being used as a shield, and then discharging their duty. It's not easy. So some violation, if it happens, it's not a violation which is aimed at. It's a result of, trying to protect the people. Issue of Ram Mandir was also mentioned. I think it's not anything to do with human rights. It's a question of belief. And in those, the majority of the people here, they believe Ram was born here, so Ram Mandir should be there, and there is a history to that. And we were told 1,500 years back, if it was destroyed, how much back we can go. Look, there is a country called Israel. For 1,000 years, they were praying outside their country, outside their land, and saying, today I'm praying here, tomorrow I'll pray in Israel. And they got it. So, gentlemen, God has given us many, many virtues, and one of the biggest virtue God has given is that we forgive, we forget. Let's not forget what we were. We talked about Afghanistan, it was part of this. So where our boundaries started, where we have now squeezed to, Dr. Tariq Fateh very eloquently said that the danger is here. If we don't wake up now, where we will end up? We might be ending up going to the Hind Mahasagar. So we are squeezing. Let's not have this vismriti. Let's not forget what we were. If we don't forget, certainly we will reach to the glory where we were once. And to end up this thing, this is our second seminar we organized on this subject. As a banker, I was always very keen that I'll understand what the human right is. And I heard many eminent speakers today, as well as in the last seminar which we held. I am sorry to say that I couldn't understand what a human right is. So I had to go back to my own philosophy, Hindu philosophy, that says, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Sabhi log sukh se rahein. That was the philosophy with which this land and the people in this land, they came up. And later on, today we say, jiyo aur jeene do. जियो और जीने दो, मतलब हक है किसी का कि मैं तुम्हें जीने दूंगा. No. Our philosophy was लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु. सभी लोग सभी जीव जंतु भी सुखी से रहें, सुख से रहें, ये एक फिलॉसफी है जिसके ऊपर ये देश, ये कल्चर, ये खड़ा हुआ। लेकिन हम ये ना भूलें कि यही श्लोक तब भी था जब मेरे ग्रैंडफादर और मेरे फादर सरगोदा में रहते थे। वहाँ भी वो नमस्ते सदा वत्सले करते थे मातृभूमि। वो आज मातृभूमि रही नहीं। और आज हम जहाँ खड़े हैं, डॉक्टर फतेह ने कहा कि हम सब CEO बनना चाहते हैं, हम सब इंजीनियर, डॉक्टर बन के बड़ी बड़ी जगह पर जाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन फौज में नहीं कोई जाना चाहता। कोई अपर क्लास जो लोग हैं वो अपने बच्चों को फौज में नहीं भेजना चाहते। तो हम चाहते तो हैं भगत सिंह पैदा हो, पर पड़ोसी गुप्ता जी के घर में पैदा हो जाए ना। तो मेरा बच्चा तो बन जाए CEO, ज़्यादा अच्छा है। सो ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say thanks. The last word, we have a arrangement for high tea. Please don't miss that. Thank you.